Hello, everybody, and welcome to Grant System Training Part 1. We're going to provide an overview of the Amplifund Grant Management System. I'm going to go through some slides that talk about what we're going to be discussing today. First, we're going to get started with a brief agenda of the session. I appreciate everyone joining, and I appreciate the participation in today's session. Today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be mostly reviewing some of the actions to complete once your award from the Department of Economic Development is migrated into Amplifund. So we wanted to make sure that we were providing you with the resources and the tools necessary in order for you to be able to manage your awards in Amplifund. We have a number of sessions that are upcoming that are planned for the next few weeks. So I want to provide you with an overview of what those sessions are. We're going to go through and we're going to discuss the resources that you have available to you from DED as well as from Amplifund that'll help you manage your award. And then we're going to go through a brief list of items that we're going to be covering during the Amplifund demonstration today that'll walk through some of the basics of how to get in and how to navigate. Towards the end, we'll have time for questions and answers. There is a Q&A feature on your WebEx that you'll be able to access. So if you have any questions at any point throughout the presentation today, please feel free to use the Q&A function located on the bottom right-hand part of your WebEx screen. You should see a little button that says chat, and right next to it, there should be an option there for you to pull up the Q&A. Please feel free to submit any questions. DED program staff is part of the session today. They are on the webinar, so they'll be able to answer any program-specific questions. Also, Amplifund technical staff is available as well to answer any Amplifund questions. So please feel free to submit questions as we're going throughout the session today. And then also we'll have time at the end if you'd prefer to wait. Think about your questions and then submit them at the end. We'll have time to go through them at that point as well. I mentioned that next couple of weeks, as we prepare to migrate awards into Amplifund and get all of your active awards in the system, we'll be providing a series of training sessions to help you understand how to utilize Amplifund and how to complete the tasks that you're supposed to be completing in the system. From navigation all the way through reporting. So here we have a list or an overview of the sessions that we'll be providing, and we have a breakdown of what's covered in each session. So today we're all here to go through the system overview, where we'll be talking about some of the basic navigation and some of the initial actions that you should be completing in your Amplifund account once you have access to your award. Session 2 we'll focus on financials and reporting. So how to get your expenses in, submit your drawdown requests, and then how to do some other reporting functions. Please note that there are 2 dates and times available for session 2. The sessions are the same, so don't feel like you have to go to both sessions. Just choose one from the options that are listed there, either July 27th or July 29th. And you just have to attend one of the sessions, as both sessions will be the same. Finally, our third and final session is specific to CDBG programs and CDBG recipients. So if you are a CDBG recipient and you would like to get training on how to submit your PSR through Amplifund, that training will be available on August 4th. So we have a few sessions upcoming within the next couple of weeks to help you manage your awards in Amplifund. Again, today the primary focus is going to be on navigating through your Amplifund account and your award once you're actually in the system and once your awards are in the system. Those awards should be available to you at the beginning of next week. You'll receive an invitation in and you'll be able to access your Amplifund awards. One thing we definitely wanted to make sure that you're aware of are all of the options that you have and all of the resources that you have at your disposal. Again, since for some of us, this is going to be our first time navigating through Amplifund, interacting with the grant management system. We wanted to make sure that you had as many options for help and support as possible. So we'll make available to you Nebraska DED specific program support information on their support site, opportunity.nebraska.gov/amplifund. On that webpage, you'll find a lot of grant management system material that'll help you navigate through Amplifund, a lot of how-tos, some great videos that'll allow you to manage your grant and do some of the basic navigation and manage your programs. Also, I will mention that on that webpage, it's divided by programs. So please reference your specific program when you're on that opportunity.nebraska.gov/amplifund webpage. Find your program, and there'll be a help doc or a series of help documents specific to managing your program's grant in the system. In addition to support on the DED website, you also have access to Amplifund support. Amplifund has its own support site, amplifund.zendesk.com, which also has a lot of resources and material. The how-tos and a lot of the guidance and videos on the Amplifund support site is very general and not specific to your programs. For that, you'll want to reference the DED support site. But you also have access to the Amplifund customer support team. So if you do have any questions as you're managing your grant in Amplifund, if you need any technical assistance, you can go ahead and you can submit a support ticket either within Amplifund itself, which I'll show you how to do, or via submitting an email to support@amplifund.zendesk.com. Those support tickets get answered by our support team. The hours are Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Central Time. If you submit a ticket after hours, then we'll respond to you at the beginning of the next business day. And as always, if you have any program questions, you're always encouraged to reach out to your DED program manager for program questions. And also, your DED program managers have a lot of knowledge in how to manage grants in Amplifund, so they can most likely answer your Amplifund questions as well. So lots of options as it pertains to managing grants in Amplifund and accessing the support and resources that you need. Again, opportunity.nebraska.gov/amplifund is the DED specific Amplifund help page. Amplifund.zendesk.com is general Amplifund support, submitting those support tickets to support@amplifund.zendesk.com. And then, of course, if you ever at any point have any questions about anything, you can always reach out to your DED program rep. And of course, we also have DED program managers as well as Amplifund support on the webinar today. So if you do have any questions as we're going through, please feel free to utilize the Q&A feature, which again is located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen. So let's go through and let's talk a little bit about some of the things that we're going to be looking at in Amplifund today and some of the primary goals of our webinar. The first thing that we want to discuss is logging into Amplifund. So for a lot of us that already have access to Amplifund or are already managing our awards within the system, you'll just go to the URL ne.amplifund.com and type in your username and password. If you're a new user, you'll be receiving activation at the beginning of next week, and you'll be able to go in, you'll receive an activation email where you'll be able to establish your password so that you can log in to the system. Amplifund is accessible from anywhere where you have a web browser and an internet connection. So you can be at your home office on your computer, you can be at a different computer at your actual physical location of your work office, and you'll be able to log into your Amplifund account as long as you can open up your web browser and put in this URL, ne.amplifund.com. And since you'll be managing your award in Amplifund and applying to new opportunities most likely, then we would encourage you to also bookmark this URL as well. So once you're in Amplifund, we wanted to talk about how to navigate through the system. We're going to discuss how to actually access and view your award that you're receiving and managing from the Department of Economic Development. In Amplifund, there are a number of forms that are built in that you may choose to interact with. So if those forms are applicable to your scenario, we'll walk through how you can interact with those forms and fill them out. Another important piece that we wanted to discuss today is how to add users into your Amplifund account as well. So while you'll be getting into the system, there may be others in your organization that you identify as important in terms of getting them into Amplifund. So we want to make sure that we cover how you can add those users in from your organization. And then, of course, we wanted to cover all the support options that you have available to you. So I'll be walking through some additional examples of how you can leverage Amplifund support from within the Amplifund interface. So at this point, I'm going to switch my screen over and we're going to get started with the in Amplifund portion of today's webinar. As I'm getting the screen switched over, I do just want to point out on the slide that you're seeing here on the screen, that URL ne.amplifund.com is very important. That is the URL that you'll be utilizing to access your awards in the system. So again, you know, if you're an existing user of Amplifund or if you are a new user of Amplifund, make sure that you know ne.amplifund.com is the URL to go to and that you have that URL bookmarked as well, so that you can access it easily at any time. All right, so now we're going to begin the portion where we talk about Amplifund and we go through how to do some of the basic navigation in the system. The first thing that I wanted to talk about here is I wanted to just talk about some of the main things that you'll be seeing when you begin to interact with your Amplifund account. So the first thing that'll populate on your screen once you get logged in and once you're logged in to the URL ne.amplifund.com is you'll see, like you are now on your screen, this big calendar. This calendar will feature any important task reminders or grant dates that are relevant to you or to your organization. So the landing page when you first log in is going in and accessing your Amplifund account and viewing this calendar. Now, when it comes to navigation, there are three main pieces of navigation. We have our left navigation menu, which you'll see here is on the left-hand side of your screen. This is going to be your main point of access throughout your Amplifund account, and it contains various sections of your account, which will allow you to manage your grant. Some of the key areas we're going to be exploring today are we're going to be looking in the grant management section, the report section, and the administration section. I will mention that this left navigation menu here stays on every page. So no matter where I go to, I'll always have this left navigation menu present in order for me to be able to navigate back and forth and go to other areas of the system. You can also collapse and expand the left navigation menu. So if you wanted to see a larger version of whatever's on your screen, you can hide the left navigation menu and then you can click the arrow to expand it once again. The second piece of navigation that I wanted to talk about here is the icon toolbar, which is located in the top right-hand corner of your screen right here. This tab is also available on every page you go to. However, based on whatever page you're on, the options may vary. So if you're ever unsure of what one of the options does, you can always hover your mouse over one of the icons, and then it'll tell you exactly what the icon does. So that's the icon toolbar. Our third piece of navigation here is your user drop-down menu. So when you log in, one of the first things you'll see here at the top is your name. You'll be able to click on the downward facing arrow to expand some of the options to view here. So as you're looking through, your user options are you can view your specific user account information. You can change your password. You can access the message center, which will feature messages sent exclusively from within Amplifund. You can access help and support, which I'll cover a little bit. When you first log in, you're prompted to agree and accept terms and conditions. At any point, you'll be able to see those terms and conditions here. And then also, you'll be able to access the applicant portal from your user drop-down menu. So some of us may be existing award recipients that are also in the process of applying or have an application started. You may also be an existing award recipient that maybe wants to apply to opportunities that are posted by DED down the road. In order to view any applications that you've already submitted, that you've already worked on, any applications that are in progress, or applications that you've saved, you'll be able to go here to the applicant portal from your user drop-down menu. So if I click on the applicant portal button here, this takes me into the Amplifund applicant portal, which allows me to see any applications that I've worked on or I've started in my organization. So when you want to work on applications, you'll go in your user drop-down menu and you'll click applicant portal. When you want to navigate back to the area of Amplifund where you manage your active awards, then you'll go to the top right-hand corner here, find your name again, and then click on Amplifund to take you back to that main page where you'll be able to find your active awards. So again, this user drop-down menu has a lot of important options for us in terms of user-specific options, but this is also the way that you can access your applicant portal to get in and start working on any applications you have in process or any new applications that you want to apply for, any opportunities that are posted from the Department of Economic Development. So now we've talked about some of the basic navigation in terms of how you can utilize these navigational tools to get around in the system. I do want to talk a little bit about some of the reporting options that you have for your grant. And the first thing that I want to do, though, is actually go and show you where you can view your grants. So here on the left navigation menu, you'll see that I can go and I can click on the grant management section. When I click on grant management, it gives me this option here to see my grants. So I'm going to go ahead and click here. And this is going to show me a list of all of the grants that I'm actively managing. So when I click on grants, it's going to show me a list of all of my awards. Here I have 3. And you'll be able to see some basic details like the name of your award, total amount that's been approved, where the money is coming from. You'll also be able to click on the name of your grant in order to get into your grant and view some of the basic grant details. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on the name of the grant here. And that's going to take me into a page that shows me a lot of basic grant information. And it also holds a lot of important information relative to my grant, like my budget and my performance plan and some of my documents folders. So clicking on the name of the grant and accessing your grant is essentially the portal into all of the information contained within that grant. So when I click on the name of the grant, you'll see here it shows me some basic details like the name of the award status. It gives me some basic financial information here, like how much I was awarded, how much I'm matching, or what the match requirement is, and the total budget. What's nice about this page is it also features some dynamic fields here that start to populate once we have data in the system. So for example, once I start adding in expenses to my award, once I start submitting drawdown requests, then these fields will begin to update with the amounts that you've either expensed or invoiced, and you'll be able to track this throughout your program. So not only will you be able to do some reporting and some some drawdown submission and communication with DED through Amplifund, but you'll also have tools here on your award details page that allow you to manage your grant, and that'll allow you to see and check in on some basic details like where you are with spending, how much you've invoiced so far. These are good data points that allow us to see a lot of information that's meaningful to us in terms of understanding where we are with our grants. If you continue to scroll down, you'll see additional information here. Some of the top 2 fields here with responsible person and grant manager will show who the responsible person and the grant manager is from your at DED. So this is going to be most likely your DED program rep right here. There's the recipient grant manager field, which you'll be able to populate. And I'll show you here in a little bit how we can populate this field. Award identification number is going to be your contract number, or whatever identifying number you guys use for your specific program. Important dates like the start and end date of your award will be featured here as well, in addition to any other basic details and your awarded amount and your cash match amount for this grant as well. So a lot of important details here on the award details page that you'll be able to see. And again, I think what's going to be most useful to us as we begin to manage our award, and for some of us that have awards that already exist, when you view it, these fields right here may already be populated based on the information about the activity that's already taken place on this grant. So you'll be able to leverage this page to see these important grant details at any point throughout your grant management experience in Amplifund. In addition to viewing these data points on this page, you'll also be able to run reports that show you information about where you are with grant spending and just other general progress on your grant. If you note here on the left navigation menu, there's a report section. If I click on the report section, there are a number of reports that are available to me here in the post-award category. So if I click on reports, and if I click on the drop-down menu next to post-award, I can see here I have a few different reports that I can leverage that show me different details and different pieces of information about where I am with my grant. So for example, the grant budget variance report, which I'll click on now, is a great report that shows what's budgeted for my categories or my line items versus what I've actually expensed. And when I pull this report, I'll be able to view for any specific award or just view for all of my awards. And I'll be able to see a lot of information here pertinent to my grant budget. So one thing that I wanted to point out here that I did as well is because I wanted to see a larger version of the report, I collapsed the left navigation menu. So I can collapse this menu here. It brings me up a larger version of this report. And if I wanted to bring that left navigation menu back out again, all I have to do is click on the arrow there, and it takes me right back to the previous view. So right now I'm going to have that left navigation menu collapsed so that I can view a lot more details of this report. So you'll see here, this report shows me the name of the award. It shows me some of the important grant dates, the total awarded amount, and then it shows me each one of my budget categories and each one of my budget line items. And then it shows me the total amount that's been budgeted. And it shows me the total amount that I've spent so far. So I can go and I can choose any one of my grants, and it'll show me any of those details that I want here. So the grant budget variance report is a good way to do some reporting and see some basic information about your grant and about the status and where you are in terms of managing your grant. Other reports that are good to leverage here are in the left navigation menu, reports, post-award, and then also the grant expense detail report will show you specific details about the expenses that have been entered against these budget categories and budget line items, as well as the post-award status report, which is especially good if you have a lot of grants. It'll just show you a lot of basic details, kind of give a nice overview of all the grants that you have in your portfolio. So one thing that I wanted to do was I wanted to navigate back to the grant management section and back to our grants page. In order to do that, I'm going to go to grant management and click on grants. So remember, I want to go back to my grant. So in order to do that, left navigation menu, the grant management section, and click on grants. Once I'm here, I'll be able to select the grant that I want to look at. This is the one that we're going to look at today. And when I open this page up, again, just like what we just looked at before, this is going to show me my grant details page. So this will have all the information about the award that we're actively managing. One of the things that I mentioned before is that when you're in this grant page, when you're in your grant, here you're able to see all items associated with your grant, all pieces of information. So for example, if I wanted to view my grant budget, I would be able to do that by clicking into the grant and then going up to the top here, clicking the post-award menu. When I click on the post-award menu, it produces a number of options here. In order to view my budget, I'm going to go to financial and budget. So again, in order to view my grant, I'm going to go to post-award, financial, and budget to see what my budget is here. And when you pull up your budget should look pretty familiar to you. It'll have the name of your budget categories and your line items, as well as the total amounts for your budget. One thing that I'll also mention here is that your budget may have match in it, and in order to view your match from this budget screen here, you go to the options section and you can check the match box, and that's going to open up the section here that shows you what your match amounts are per category, per line item. Also, if you wanted to click in and see any details on your line items, you can go and you can click on the name of the line item, and you can see all the relevant data for your line item, like what the line item name is, the total amount, who's responsible. There may be a description in here. So a lot of information that you'll be able to view on the line item. But for the most part, what's important here is the ability to view the name of your grant, your budget period, and then the categories and line items that are contained within your grant budget, as well as the match and any other aspect of your grant budget. In future sessions, we'll be focusing specifically on how to actually report against your budget. So subsequent sessions will focus on entering expenses against your budget, submitting drawdown requests, and just generally being able to interact with your budget in a way that's meaningful to you. That's what next week's financial reporting sessions will focus on. In addition to being able to view your budget, you're also going to be able to view your performance plan. Again, depending on what program you're managing, you may have specific performance plan goals or objectives that you're required to report on. And if that's the case, you'll be able to view those by going to the post-award drop-down menu here at the top, clicking on performance, and then clicking on performance plan. So again, you may or may not have these depending on the type of program you're managing. If you do have them, you'll be able to find them here. And you'll be able to look at any one of your performance plan goals, click on the name, to view the detail that's associated with the performance plan goal. In some cases, there may be a due date associated with your performance plan goal. There may just be a question or a description. And this tells me a distinct number that I have to reach. So there's a lot of information that's contained within any of these performance plan goals. So just go ahead and click on the name of each one of these to drill in a little bit further and to view the details about what's being required or what you have to report on in these performance plan goals. Other thing that I'll mention here is that in addition to covering the financial reporting process in our next session will also focus on some of the performance reporting as well that may be required with your award. So today, we're just kind of talking about how to navigate to the specific areas, and in subsequent sessions, we'll really dive deeper into how to configure and how to report on a lot of these different elements. In addition to having performance plan goals that you may be responsible to report on, there's also the chance that your program rep at DED has assigned specific tasks to you as well. So if they've assigned or if they begin to assign different tasks to you, there are a couple of different places where you'll be able to see those tasks. From the grant itself, you'll be able to view those tasks by going up to the top here and locating your tools drop-down menu. So from your tools drop-down menu, you'll be able to click here, and there's a section specifically for tasks. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on tasks right here. And this is going to bring me to a page that has all my tasks. So again, you may start to see that in your email, you may receive tasks from your program rep telling you to complete specific actions. You'll be able to view and manage all of your tasks in this tools drop-down menu and the tasks page. So from here, you'll be able to go in, and if you've already completed a task, you'll be able to click the check mark here to indicate that the task has been completed. Other places where you'll be able to see your tasks is on your calendar. So I'm going to navigate back to my calendar by going to the activity section here, going to calendar. And if you have tasks that are assigned to you, those tasks will show up here on your calendar. So when you log in, you'll clearly see those tasks here, or you'll see your tasks from within the grant itself. Or if you wanted to see a list of all tasks, not just for yourself or not just for your specific grants, but organization-wide, then again, the activity section under tasks will allow you to view all of your tasks. You can interact with tasks here, and you can click on any one of these tasks to view the information. This will take you right into the grant. You can also mark a task as completed here. So go ahead and check your calendar. Your calendar should include any task that's associated with your Amplifund account. I'm going to go back to our grant, and I'm just going to navigate to it just by clicking on this Go to Grant page, on this Go to Grant button right here. So I'm going to click on Go to Grant so I can go back into the grant. And then, again, I'll just show you how you can access your tasks, again, from that Tools drop-down menu, or from the calendar, or from the activity and tasks section. In addition to being able to view grant-specific tasks, you'll also be able to view documents as well. So one of the benefits, one of the advantages to managing your grant from DED within Amplifund is that you're able to, again, communicate with them through Amplifund, receive tasks from them, submit your drawdown requests through the system, and also you're able to share documents with DED, and they're able to share documents with you. So if you go back into this tools drop-down menu here, you'll see that there is a documents section that's going to contain a folder that's shared between you and the Department of Economic Development. So when I click in my documents folder here, I can see that I have what's called a public folder. My public folder is where I'll be able to view any documents that DED shares with me. And it's also where I can upload any documents and share it with them. So I'm going to click into the public folder. This public folder is often used by DED to share contract documents with us or final reports, anything else that they may deem as necessary. You can also upload documents and make them available to DED as well. If you go into the top right-hand corner, you'll see we have the Upload Documents button and the Create Folder button. So you can create a number of folders within this folder that DED can view. You can also click here to upload a document. One thing that I'll mention is that you have the ability to upload any documents that you want. So for the purposes of making the uploads as clear as possible to their DED program rep, please be consistent and be as descriptive as possible when you're uploading documents into the shared folder. If you upload a document, make sure that it's named appropriately and there's an accurate description of what the document is so that when DED goes in to view it, they know exactly what they're looking at here. So again, you'll be able to upload your own documents to this folder so that DED can view, and any documents that they want you to view will show up here in this public folder as well. So this public folder within the documents folder is a shared space for both you and your program reps at DED. However, if you wanted to use Amplifund to store other documents relative to your grant that you wanted to just store internally and not have visible to DED, you can do that as well. So if I go back to just my general documents folder here, outside of the public folder, I can create my own folder in structure by clicking on the create folder icon here, or I can upload any documents. Anything that I create or upload outside of the public folder will not be visible to DED. You have unlimited document storage for any documents that you want to upload, either to share with DED or to just upload and store for internal purposes. So keep that in mind. Anything that you upload in the public folder, visible to DED. Anything you upload outside of the public folder is for your own organization, internal use only. And you have unlimited document storage, no matter if you're uploading to the public folder or outside of the public folder. So now that we've looked at some of those elements of the award, I do want to talk a little bit about kind of navigating back to the grant, just as a little reminder. So I'm going to go to, again, remember, how do I get back to my grant? I go to the grant management section, click on grants. This is going to take me to my grant page. There's one more thing in here that I want to show you before we move on to the next topic. So I'm going to click again here on my grant. And one thing that I did mention is that there may be a number of custom forms or of forms that you have to fill out here that you may want to know where to access and how to access those. So two forms in particular that are always going to be available to you that you may need to fill out are located here in the top part of your screen under custom, where it says external user consent form, and then the state of Nebraska W-9 and ACH enrollment form. So here you'll be able to access those forms. When it comes to your W-9 and ACH enrollment form, you don't have to fill this out if you already have a current active one on file. This is only if you need to update your existing W-9 and ACH enrollment form, or if you're a new recipient and you have to submit a new one. If all of the information that you've already provided to DED is current and up to date, then you do not need to interact with this form at all. We have another form here, the external user consent form, which is important for adding in additional users. So here in a little bit, we're going to talk about how to add users into your account. However, we know that a lot of you have third-party users or other individuals that you may want to add into your Amplifund account. If that's the case, then you'll have to fill out this external user consent form in order and submit that to your DED program rep in order for them to get that user created. So in terms of adding users external to your organization, if you have a third party that's managing your award or that's acting as a certified admin, then you'll have to fill out this form and you'll have to get them added in by filling out the form. Now, one thing that I will mention relative to that form is that this form was sent out to you by DED ahead of time. So you may have already received this, and if you haven't received this form, then I just wanted to provide some information about where this form is coming from and how you can get it resent to you. So you should have already received an email from ded.research@nebraska.gov via SurveyMonkey with this form included. And in the body of the email is the ability for you to click and to begin to complete this form. If you haven't received this form and you want DED to resend this to you, then just email ded.research@nebraska.gov and indicate that you want this form resent to you. They will go ahead and they will resend the form. You can fill it out, and then that third-party user will get added into your Amplifund account. So again, this email has already been sent out to you. You may have already received it. Maybe it showed up in a junk mail folder or a spam folder. So you can search for it. It came from ded.research@nebraska.gov. Or you can just reach out to that same email address so that they send it to you and they resend that to you so you can get it all filled out and that you can send it back. So that's one option in terms of getting that form filled out. If you would prefer to just fill out the form when you're in Amplifund, you can do that as well. And as I mentioned before, you can view your forms from this custom tab right here by going to the external user consent third-party form. So I'm going to go ahead and click here, and I'll show you how you can fill that form out from within Amplifund. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to that custom drop-down menu, click on the name of the form, and that's going to take me to the form itself. So once I get here, I'll be able to go into the top right-hand corner and click on the plus sign. That's going to allow me to create the form. And this provides me with the steps that I need to fill out the form, including the actual form itself. So when I'm filling out this form, there are 3 different sections. There's one where I have to put in my contract number, my organization name, and then the name of my award. This next section here indicates where I have to add information about the user that I'm requesting to be added. So here I need to put in the organization where that user works. And then that user's name. The fields that you have to populate and complete on this form are the same as what comes in if you get the form from that research.DED email address. So go ahead and populate this. You'll have to type in your first and last name here to indicate that you're accepting the terms. Check the box, put in the date signed, and the date that this form has been completed by you. Indicate that this form is ready for submission, and go ahead and click on Create. So go through and populate all the fields here, and that'll allow you to create your third-party user consent form. Once you get this completed, either via the email or via Amplifund, then your user will be created in the system. You'll be able to, and they'll be able to access your award so that they can help to manage your award. Now, speaking of managing your award, I want to talk a little bit about indicating who is the primary person that's going to be managing your award. And now that we've looked at the process of adding third-party users or external users to your account, I also want to talk about how you can add users that work within your organization. So let's talk a little bit about how we can add in and indicate who the grant manager is. I want to go back to the grant details page here. That's going to bring me back to my page that shows me basic information about my grant. This is the first page that we looked at today. So let's go back here and let's take a look. As I mentioned before, if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see there's a recipient grant manager field where you're able to indicate who is managing the grant from your organization. So in order to populate this field, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on the pencil icon to get this edited. So I'm going to click on the pencil icon, and that's going to open up this page for me to be able to edit and add in the recipient grant manager. As you'll see, when I click on the pencil icon, I have the recipient grant manager field right here, and I have this drop-down list. So basically, I can go through here and I can add in any one of these users from my list. Now, if I needed to type somebody in here and I wanted to select somebody that's not available on this list, note how I can't do that. And that's because this person is not added as a user. I can only select from my user drop-down list any active users. So if you want to add in a grant manager and they're not listed as a user, we're going to have to go in and add them first. And the way in which we add in users is by going to the administration section here on your left navigation menu, going to system security, and going to users. This section right here will show me a list of all of my active users and will provide me with the ability to add in new users. So here I can see a list of all users I have in my system. If I wanted to add somebody to make them the grant manager, I can go ahead and go into the top right-hand corner here and click on the plus sign to create a new user. So once I go to create a new user, there are a number of different options that I can choose for this new user. You'll notice here that there's a lot of fields, but only fields with an asterisk are required. So if I want to create this user, I'm going to go and I'm going to put in their first name, their last name, and I'll put in their email address, as those are the 3 required fields here. In addition to putting in their basic details, we also have this user information section at the top where you can configure a couple of different settings for your user that you're creating. There's the subscribe to daily and weekly emails option, which basically determines the cadence and the frequency with which they'll receive any automated notifications from Amplify. If they're subscribed to daily emails, they'll receive emails on the day that they're submitted. If they subscribe to weekly emails, they'll receive emails. They'll receive one email at the beginning of the week notifying them of all their upcoming due dates and all their upcoming tasks. Just because somebody's subscribed to daily emails, it doesn't mean that they're going to receive an email every day, just on days where they have a specific notification or reminder scheduled for them. As you can see here, you can also be subscribed to both daily and weekly emails. So it's important to make sure that you have the email preference established correctly per your own personal preferences. In addition, you'll have the ability to turn on and off applicant portal access for this user. So we mentioned before at the beginning of the session that when you go to your user drop-down menu here, you have the ability to access the applicant portal. If you want the user that you're creating to also have access to the applicant portal where they can view previously submitted applications and work on existing or current applications, then go ahead and check this box. If this is a user that we're adding that doesn't need to have access to that information, you can leave that box unchecked. In addition to these preferences, you can also assign a role to your new user. And there are a few different levels of security access here for any one of your users that you're getting added in. We have organizational admin, which is the highest level of security. This allows a user to perform all actions in the system, create, editing, deleting information. So this organizational admin will be able to do everything in the system. We have the executive users, which are able to see everything, but they can't edit or add anything. So this is our super user view only user security role. We also have department users, which are lower level users in which the user will be able to log in and they'll only be able to view things that they're assigned to. So if they're assigned as a grant manager, then they'll be able to see any grants that they're assigned to as a grant manager. So once I have these preferences configured and I have the first name, last name, and email established, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on the plus sign to get this user created. Now, one thing that I will mention is that this is the process of creating your users that are internal to your organization. You have an unlimited number of users that you can get added into your system. Before this, I did mention the email that you may have received to get a third party added. Not all of us may be utilizing a third party to manage your awards. So if that survey or if that process isn't applicable to you, then you do not need to fill that survey out. You do not need to fill out that form. That form is only for those that are going in and that are utilizing a third party or an external organization to help manage their awards. So if you received that email and it's not applicable to you, then don't worry about it. You don't have to fill it out. So once we have our user created, and remember this is the user that I wanted to get created in, just because I created this user doesn't mean they have automatically access into the system. There's a second step that's required to actually get this user invited into the system, which is to invite them in. So the user is created, and now if I want to invite them into the system, I can go in the top right-hand corner here to the envelope icon, and I can click the send invitation button. Sending an invitation will actually send an email to this user, and within that email, they'll be able to click on a link and they'll be able to create their own password to log in. But only upon receiving and performing those actions will this user be able to access Amplify. So if you're ready for this user to get into the system and start managing your award and performing actions within the system, you can go ahead and click the send invitation. That'll send them an email that allows them to see, that allows them to go in and create their own password to get in and to access their Amplifund account. In order to again, just review your list of users, you can go to the administration section here and then go to users. This will show you not only a list of all users that you have created, but you will also be able to see, have those users been invited into the system? Have they logged into the system? So from an administrative perspective, this will be a great way for you to check to see not only have you invited somebody into the system, but have they already logged in? So now that I have my user added that I want to make the grant manager, let's go back into the grant and let's get this user added as the recipient grant manager. I'm going to go to the grant management section and click on grants. And again, it's going to take me to my list of grants here. And once I'm in this list of grants, I want to click on the name of the grant to get back in to that page. That's going to allow me to see either who the grant manager is, or allow me to edit it so that I can add the grant manager. So in order to add the grant manager into this field here, I'm going to go back to my top right-hand corner and click on the pencil icon in order to get that grant manager added. And now, since I've added that user that I want to select as my grant manager, I can see that person now appears. I can now add them in as the grant manager, and I can save this page. One thing that I'll note here about the grant manager field and why it's important to populate this field is the grant manager is responsible for receiving all automatic communication that comes through Amplifund. When I'm talking about some of the automatic notifications and communications that come from the system, is I keep mentioning how you're able to submit your drawdown requests and your reports to your program rep through Amplifund. When those reports are either approved or denied, you'll receive a notification that that the report or the amendment or whatever it may be has been accepted or rejected. That communication goes to whoever is designated as the recipient grant manager. So it's not just about identifying who the grant manager is for record keeping purposes. It actually is prompting the system to send this person those automatic notifications of their grant activity. One other thing that I'll mention here to be careful of is when we click on the pencil icon to edit, the only thing that I can edit is the grant manager field. You'll see here that this recipient award name is also open to edit. We would advise you not to change the name on this field. DED is setting names and naming conventions for all awards. So we encourage you to not change the name of any of the awards here. Once you have your recipient grant manager added in, go ahead and click on Save. And those changes get saved on your award. So we've gone through a lot today in terms of navigating in Amplifund and viewing your award and adding in specific users. We looked at going into the grant management and grant section to view your actual grant, talked about some of the key reporting that you'll be able to view here, accessing your budget by going to post-award, financial, and budget in order to view the awarded or the approved budget for your grant award. We also talked about going in and looking at your performance plan, if applicable, if you have a performance plan for your award, by going to post-award performance plan, and then clicking there to be able to see your performance plan and all the goals, clicking on each goal name to drill in and view the details. We talked about the tools drop-down menu where you can manage tasks and you can view and upload documents. The custom tab where you can access your ACH and W-9 form or the external user consent form if applicable to you. And of course, the administration, system security, and users section, which allows you to view, manage, and add users into your account. And remember, you have an unlimited number of users that you can get added in. So at this point, I'm going to pause and we're going to review any questions that may have come in. If you've been holding your questions, now is a great time to submit those. Again, remember, utilize the Q&A function on your WebEx at the bottom right-hand corner in order to submit those questions. We're going to take a brief pause and review any questions that have come in. Please feel free to begin submitting your questions. As you're submitting questions and as questions come in, I did want to provide and remind you about the Amplifund support options. So during the presentation, we discussed a lot about the DED support resources that's available on opportunity.nebraska.gov/Amplifund. You can also access Amplifund support either by submitting a support ticket to our customer success team, by sending an email to support@amplifund.zendesk.com, or you can access support from within Amplifund itself. If you scroll in your icon toolbar here in the top right-hand corner, and you hover your mouse over the eye icon, you'll see that's the help and support option. Or you can access help and support by your user drop-down menu and clicking on help and support. Once you're in this help and support window here, you'll be able to either access our support site, amplifund.zendesk.com, or you'll be able to submit a support ticket directly to us by filling out the fields here, clicking in the subject field and indicating what your question is, putting a description of your question here, and then attaching any screenshots. So if you have any technical help, if you need any assistance, then you can submit a support ticket. Again, our support team's hours are Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Central Time. So feel free to submit a support ticket as necessary. A couple of questions that have come in. One specifically about documents and where we're looking at our documents. So there's no massive difference between the two sections. If I'm in this grant, like we're looking at right now, and I click on the tools drop-down menu and I view my documents folder, this is going to show me all of my documents specifically for this grant. Now, if you wanted to view all of your grants and all of your grant documents folders, then that's where you can use the document section on the left navigation menu. So if I click here on documents, and if I go to grants, this just has all of my grants listed, and I can click on the document folder for those grants by navigating here. So same information contained in the different folders, just kind of a couple of different ways to get there. I can either go into my grant, click on the tools drop-down menu and view my folders from there, or I can go to documents. I can see the name of my grants here, click into it, and it'll show me my documents folders. Just again, two different ways to get to the same thing. And for a lot of us that are existing Amplifund users, recipients of current awards, there have been no major changes to Amplifund since you began managing your award. So if you're already comfortable or if you're used to the functionality, then um, then nothing has changed since you last logged in or since you last utilized your awards. Recipients will be notified about getting in. So if you're a new award recipient and you've never used Amplifund before, you will be notified that your award is ready for you to get in and view by next week, the 28th, the latest. And you will be notified via an email that will come from no-reply@gotomygrants.com. There'll be an email, there'll be a link in that email for you to set up your password. So you'll be receiving an email again from no-reply@gotomygrants.com. And then from there, you'll be able to click in, view your award, and access the information. And again, just kind of back to some of the different documents folders. Back to some of the different documents folders. You'll be able to add your documents into either folder. So whether you navigate to the folder through here or whether you go to it through the grant management section, you'll be able to view your grant accordingly. If a community has multiple awards or is the recipient of multiple awards in the system, then those awards will be awarded to the community, the local unit of government, whoever the award recipient is. So, you'll be able to see if it's Nebraska City, we'll be able to view all of their awards in the Nebraska City account. And if you are a third party external user, if you're a third party consultant, you'll need to be added into that account, which is why we sent out the third party user consent form via email, and why there's also that option that's available in the system as well. Another reminder is that as we begin to roll out and as you start to receive those email notifications next week, we are offering additional sessions. So be on the lookout for those. Some of those session dates are as displayed here on the slide. So just keep in mind, every session is going to be recorded and provided for reference purposes. So you'll always be able to reference the recordings. In addition, some of the sessions that we're providing, or the session that we're providing next week, focuses on a very deep dive in terms of how to report in Amplifund, how to submit your drawdown requests. So you'll be able to do that. You'll be able to go ahead and attend the session. Just attend one of the two. Both sessions are going to be the same. We're just offering two different times. So if you're interested in how to do the financial reporting, then go ahead and make sure you attend one of the sessions. As you can see, we have them scheduled for 2 hours, as it's a pretty deep dive into the reporting and the financials for the different programs. So thank you, everybody, for joining today. I appreciate your participation and the questions. Again, the recording will be made available. Please feel free to visit the support site, opportunity.nebraska.gov /Amplifund for Amplifund videos and specific documentation. Look forward to seeing everybody in next week's sessions where we cover financials and reporting. If you have any questions in the meantime, please feel free to reach out. Thank you, everybody.